I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have sex with Minnie. I'm sorry. God damn it, Donald. Get the fuck out of my room, Donald. Get the fuck out. Fuck, man. Hey everybody, so today we're going to be talking about strikes in Destiny 2. Let's go ahead and do this. Alright dude, fucking strikes, they suck dick now, man. They're not as fun as they used to be. They're fucking terrible, alright? So, let's go ahead and attempt to fix them. So, god damn it, man, I've been talking about this for fucking how many years at this point, but strikes have been in this just painful fucking place for years now. There's been a couple of times where there was some hope, that there was gonna be some hope for strikes, but that never came. So, I don't know, man. The core activities of the game, so you have strikes, Crucible, and, shit, what was the other one? I don't know. There was a third one. I kind of forget what it was though. They don't really do much to it, but they they don't do anything for like any of it, really. I mean, they add, there's been improvements, all right? So a few years ago, we used to get fucking jack shit, man. We got nothing with each season. But now there's at least a new ritual weapon to grind with cool, not cool, but specific ornaments for them, which is cool. And then, you have like shaders and rewards and new, well, quote unquote new. Literally, basically all the Nightfall weapons and shit they do, and the Vanguard weapons are just shit they brought back, but, it's another video. And yeah, strikes used to be so different though, man. They used to be so much better, so they were so good in D1. And specifically, we're going to be talking about heroic strikes, alright? That was like peak fucking Destiny when they accidentally added in the modifiers to heroic strikes, the burns and all that shit, in the Taken King. Later on in the Taken King, at one point, apparently it just bugged out and there was like modifiers or some shit. And originally it wasn't supposed to be there, and then, well, for my memory, that's how it was. Might not have been the case, but I remember there were people talking about when it did happen that it was bugged out, and Bungie just said fuck it, and they kept it, and that became a staple part, was that week-to-week difference that you had in these strikes. Now, our power was way reduced back then. D1, we were not even close to being as powerful as we are now, dude. Not even fucking close. And that's for a variety of reasons. And the strikes in general were a lot harder. The game was a lot harder because, one, the players were way shittier back then. This was a console-only game back then. People were just way shittier at the game, let's be real. That's how things are when the game first starts, usually, within its infancy. Especially in MMOs, people are usually really shit, and then they get a lot better over the years. And we have definitely seen this in Destiny, for sure. Over the past, 9 years or whatever the fuck. Yeah, like basically 9 years at this point. And yeah, they were fun because you had these modifier changes that either made it really hard or really easy. And it was just different from week to week. So, 1 week could be a really hard week. And especially depending if you get like Wretched Eye with fucking Void Burn, it's like, oh my god! Like, especially in the Nightfalls, it's terrible. And then, some weeks like Arc Burn Specialist, that could be ape shit. We also had Small Arms back in the day. That was a modifier where your primary weapons did more damage. And back then, of course, our primaries didn't have any elements. But that was a pretty cool thing, right? And then you also had Specialist, which I think was a thing in Destiny 2 at one point, but it's not anymore. And that is where I think your special weapons did more damage. It was either that or... Yeah, I think it was the case, right? Because we saw Arc Burn and Specialist together before, and that's what was the combination that was fucking ape shit. And of course, we later got Daybreak Strikes as well. And I think, fuck, was it Age of Triumph when they added that? I don't even remember when they added it, fucking Daybreak Strikes. But that was essentially like Mayhem, but in Strikes. So it was super fun, dude. And so they generally cared a lot more about Strikes back in the day. And, we also had Strike-specific loot, too. So, you can... As Luke Smith famously said in his Taken King interview with like Game Informer or some shit, he's like, I want to wear his ass as a hat, and that's what we did with a lot of the bosses back then. We would take parts of their armor and we would just say fuck it and put it on us, dude. It was cool as shit. I really liked it. I think the most famous example from D1 is like the Ala Cool helmet, right? The Darkblade helmet for the Titan. It was so fucking cool, dude. One of my favorite ones in the game. Unfortunately, it never worked with shaders though, which sucked. But yeah, it was just fun, man. They're replayable. They cared about them a lot more. D1 was way more focused when it came to content updates. Like, in terms of having a narrow, specific amount of content that they want to give, in terms of, like, quantity of it, right? So in terms of, like, there was, like, how do I explain it? It felt like they were more focused with it, okay? That's what I mean. With the updates that they did do, and of course we didn't really get a whole lot after Taken King Rise of Iron, but, you know, still. Nowadays, it feels like they are focused, right? But there's just a huge variety of things they do, despite what the community wants to say. You know, sometimes we get battlegrounds, sometimes we get fucking expeditions and fucking perditions, and I think that was at one point sever. We don't really know what we're gonna get. Besides, we're gonna get new activities. So, you know, they were way more focused. And that's typically how MMOs are. You know, strikes are these dungeon kind of content from other MMOs, right? Despite, you know, dungeons being in D2, those aren't really proper MMO dungeons, right? Where they're that core PvE activity that was in D1, and now we don't really even have such a thing, really. I guess the raid is, and that's kind of it. But yeah, so the Fall from Grace, man, this was basically in Destiny 2 Year 1. With the content updates that did after it, the mini expansions, the DLCs, Crucible, Osiris, Warmind, were, instead of adding strikes that were original pieces of content, right? Similar to, you know, well, the Omnigul strike was in the vanilla game, right? But it was kind of cut. It was they had the Omnigul strike developed, the Will of Crota, whatever the fuck, and they put it in the Dark Below. But that was an original piece. It wasn't a story mission repurposed like we saw with Warmind and Curse of Osiris. We just saw story missions repurposed into strikes, which didn't feel good at all, you know, because strikes to me felt more like a grand kind of story mission generally, and that they were designed for co-op. That mission from the ground up was designed for a co-op experience. Where if you take the story mission and I don't know, it just felt weird. I didn't like it, and I still wouldn't like it. And then eventually in the Forsaken we did get new strikes, but we saw the introduction of like the seasonal content model, right, the annual pass. And back then they were very, very focused on end game activities, right? They weren't originally, it wasn't supposed to be story focused or anything like that. It was supposed to just be end game shit, and that's it. They just expanded upon the end game, and obviously that changed a lot over the years, especially after Shadowkeep. I think is when it really got this huge overhaul to be way more about the story, and then especially in Beyond Light. But you know, that's when they really stopped caring about adding strikes. The only strike that we ever got in a season after that was like the Proving Grounds, right? And I think you could also consider Battlegrounds to be strikes. I think Battlegrounds are a lot like strikes, in a lot of ways they are, but they kind of lack that replayability, to me at least, that the other strikes had, because the strikes also had variants in D1. Like, I don't know if you remember, but you know, like sometimes you would take different paths. Sometimes there would just be different enemies, right? So instead of, you know, Cabal, it's Taken in the Valista Arc Strike whenever you're outside, right? You have to fight either a Cabal tank or a big-ass fucking Taken Minotaur who's actually invisible. It was pretty cool. But yeah, it was fucking, dude, it was cool as shit, man. I loved it back then, but they kind of really ditched it with that, right? And so it's not like we haven't seen anything with strikes, you know? Like, we've seen new strikes and expansions, right? Witch Queen, I think, we got like 2 or 3. I think it was 2. And then Shadowkeep, wasn't it 2 strikes in Shadowkeep? It might have been 3, I think it was 2. And then with Beyond Light, I think there was only 1 strike in Beyond Light, which was kind of fucking funny. Although I think they did do the rework of the Will of Crota during that time, but that really wasn't a new strike, you know? And then Lightfall, we got 1, man. 1 new strike. That was fucking insane. Like, just 1. For a $50 expansion. Like, that's insane. There wasn't a whole lot of content in Lightfall to do, which kind of sucks. You know, for $50 at least. That's absolutely fucking insane. So yeah, man, it really blows that they decided to just say fuck it and ditch focusing on strikes, because it was this really focused, replayable activity, you know, that consistency that we could have and that we could hang on to and always be like, yeah, well, we know that's going to be good at least, you know, because almost every strike they did back then were certified bangers, man. There were only a few that I didn't really like. There was like Wretched Eye, You know, and that was the only real one that I really didn't like out of all the strikes, I would say. And the original Omnigul too. The original Will of Crota, that strike fucking sucked. The OG one before they did the Rise of Iron rework for it, that strike was ass, dude. But yeah, so what are the solutions that we could do? So you could either just say fuck it and just copy and paste the D1 version, which I'm not against, you know, that'd be fun. But I think the ultimate solution that we could do is you already have heroic strikes in the game, dude. We already have them. We have hero strikes, you know? And so why don't we just make hero strikes rotate maps, rotate strikes? This is the thing that makes hero strikes not replayable to me, right? And maybe you cannot do this for Legend, and of course Master and Grandmaster, obviously, unless you have Conqueror or whatever the fuck. But for heroes, man, I really feel like the hero strikes, the heroic strikes, whatever you want to call them, should not be a one fucking strike per thing, you know? And I've been saying this since fucking Shadowkeep, bro. When we first got the hero strikes in Shadowkeep, they were amazing. I love them, and I'm like, why is this only one strike that rotates every week? Why is this not rotating through all of the strikes that are available? That's fucking insane. You have the heroic strike right here. We have it right here, dude. What we've been asking for is right here, but you're not gonna make it to the maps fucking rotate. But that's, dude, I've been asking for this for fucking 3.5 years, and people have been asking for it, and they just have not given a fuck about it, bro. And it's just the most frustrating goddamn. This is where my frustration's coming out, because this has been something that I've wanted and been asking for years. And the most frustrating part is the people love heroic strikes. We remember heroic strikes and fucking jerk off to them, and we have it right here, man. It's in the game. It's just all you need to do is rotate the fucking strike every week. They don't do it though, and it just feels like shit, bro. I really, really wish they would just fucking make it rotate. You know, that's the biggest bitch. But yeah, that's gonna cover the video, man. I'm horny. I'm gonna go jerk off. Peace. I'm sorry, Donald. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have sex with fucking Minnie. Okay? Get the fuck out of my room, Donald. I'm sorry. Okay? Fuck, dude. God. Alright, hey everybody, so today we're talking about strikes in Destiny 2. Let's go ahead and do this shit. Fuck off, Donald!